Well, I am delighted to welcome to this I Am Eden video in our series, a highlight of our faculty, and in particular, Christopher Grundy, who is our professor of liturgy and preaching, and who is our associate dean of the chapel. And it is a real treat to be able to celebrate in this conversation about Christopher's publication of this important book about Holy Communion.
The project really got started both to try and help people that I was talking to who were struggling with communion, but also to find a way of presiding myself that felt okay, but felt true, that felt like this feels like honest theology to me. This feels like how I think the world actually works, and a way of doing communion that I can be comfortable with. So I've been working on that, and the book is a lot of that journey of deconstruction, of sort of taking things apart and trying to figure out what the problems are, but also then later on trying to figure out, so what are we going to do? There's so many things about Holy Communion that are good and worth hanging on to. How do we find ways to hang on to what's best and maybe recover aspects of the tradition that have been subjugated, have been covered over, that may be useful to us? The habitus of actually learning to share your own food, actually learning to sit and eat with people that you wouldn't ordinarily eat with. Those kinds of very practical things that shape us is really at the heart of the book and the possibilities that I'm hoping churches will consider. This book is really founded on a theology of resilience. The vocational resilience is a lot about sort of being able to hang on to our vocation in spite of the fact that a lot of bad things are going to happen. Things are, a lot of bad things in ministry, a lot of bad things in our own walk of discipleship, a lot of bad things in the church, which after all is full of human beings that do all sorts of things that are less than perfect, right? And how do you continue in the face of all that? The first time that you really hurt someone, the first time that you really make a bad mistake, how do you keep going? And the part of the discovery of this project is that we see not just in Jesus, but in Jesus' community, a kind of resilience in the face of violence and disappointment and even death that boggles the mind and leads us toward the possibility that all of this happens. People are scared and they run and they hide behind locked doors, but they manage to come together and continue. And when they do, they find that the ministry of Jesus continues, and in some sense, Jesus continues in their midst. All of that leads them to this possibility that perhaps God is able to be resilient in the face of the crucifixion, in the face of all that we do wrong. And so for me, that theology of resilience and the resilience of the vocation of the original community around Jesus is deeply tied to our hopes for the vocational resilience of our graduates who go out into a very uncertain church and are going to have to be incredibly creative, but also incredibly resilient.